Welcome back to the Retro Chat podcast. And joining me on the line right now, he is known as playing the iconic character Jake Sommers in California Dreams, direct from Australia. It's Jay Anthony Franke. Jay, how you doing?
It's Frankie, and good day, mates. How you doing?
I always do it. I always start an interview by making a mistake. I am so sorry.
It's honestly, it's like the one thing about my name that everybody does. So right. It's not, everybody does. Everybody always says Frank first, and I'm like, nope, Frankie, and that's, yep.
At least it's not just me. I don't feel so bad.
It's not.
How you keeping? How you doing?
Pretty good. Been under lockdown for, our lockdowns have been on and off, but I've been pretty much keeping myself locked down just because, I want to do the right thing and be responsible. And so we pretty much kept ourselves locked down for the most part, except to go out for supplies and stuff we need for the better part of over a year and a half. So,
wow.
Yeah. So basically I run to the store like once every couple of weeks, get coffee and whatever else. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, and I'm lucky enough to be working from home. So I do my job from home, and this is where the magic quite literally does not happen. So, yeah, so this is my study. You can see there's all kinds of equipment and crap behind me, and some books and books. I don't even know why I have the books there because this room is more about equipment.
But it looks good. It looks like a proper study having the books in the background.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's what you mean. I've got.
That's what I was going for. Yeah.
Now, Jay, I mean, we all know you as Jake Sommers from the California Dreams, the iconic California Dreams show. Talk to us about that role. Talk to us about how you got the role.
Well, I had been how I got the role. Wow. I had been auditioning for years for stuff, and I had done small parts here, Married with Children, General Hospital, some commercials, some TV movies, and TV shows based on movies, and just a lot of stuff, but nothing that was mine, And then my manager, Paul Eskel, great guy, good friend still, said, hey, there's a show called California Dreams. Have you heard of it? And I was like, no, I haven't. He said, oh, well, there's a show called California Dreams, and there's this part. Here's the audition. Your agent Sue set up this audition, so why don't you go to it? So I went to it, and then I subsequently did 5 or 6 more. I just kept getting callbacks, and each one, and I've told the story the other day, but each one got progressively more terrifying because each time I went back, it was a new producer or somebody higher up than the last person, and had more of a say on whether I was going to be a part of this or not. And at that point, I still didn't even know what the show was, or that it existed. Not because I wouldn't have known, but because I simply was poor, and the roommate and I that I was living at the time did not have a television. Or no, we had a television. We just didn't have proper reception where we lived, so we did not get any really good stuff. So everything was VCR. Anyway, went in. Finally, there was, I think it was the 5th or 6th audition, and it was down to 3 of us, and they were going to decide who it was that day. I went and did my audition in front of, I think it was the vice president of NBC, all the producers, all the writers. Walked out feeling pretty good, but at the same time, I didn't walk out going, "Oh, nailed it," But I walked out going, "Hey, I did my job," and if anything, I got to read in front of all these people, all these pretty important people. So that's never a bad thing. And then I went and did another audition for something pretty large, an actual pretty large movie that people do know. I'm not going to say what it is or mention it here, but as I left that audition, they had just decided then and there that they wanted me for that movie. So I called my, I called my manager, and he said, the people from the audition you just left want you for the movie, but we also just got a call from NBC. You got the part on that show, California Dreams.
Right.
But we've already checked into it. You can't do both because they will conflict as far as timing goes. So we talked about it and we decided I would go with the television show because shows can last, 10 years. Unfortunately, mine didn't. But they can last like 10 years or whatever. Sometimes more. If you're the Simpsons, you can go on for an eternity. So we chose that. My big regret is not being able to work something out and do both. Because it was a pretty big deal and it was pretty awesome. And it would have been a nice thing on my resume. But as that being said, I have no regrets taking the path I took.
But then you had 5 years or 4 years because you came into the second season of Cali Dreams. 4 year security, which for an actor, that must mean a lot, having that security, knowing that you've got a job every year.
The funny thing about that is yes, that is true. It is nice to have that security, but you don't know you have that security year after year. And unless they say, hey, we picked you up for the next 5 years. But what they did with us was the network would say, hey, we picked you up for 18 more episodes for next season, or we picked you up for 32 episodes for next season. So every year it was like, oh, right. Until we finally got to the year where it was like, we are ending the show. And damn. So,
I mean, that must be tricky for you, to plan out what you're going to do and plan out where you're going to go and how you're going to audition if they're only telling you 18 or 33 episodes at a pop.
Right. Yeah, it is. But the thing is also, depending on your contract, sometimes you can sign a contract that says, hey, you can do whatever you want in between the times when you're not working, between this season, next season. Yeah. And then other people are given a contract that says, hey, you can't do anything. I'm pretty sure mine said I couldn't do anything. So,
wow. Yeah. You really were tied in.
Yeah. Which was fine. I mean, it is what it is. So, and I'm not sure that, I don't know, we worked hard. It was fun, but we worked hard. And those, you get these like 6 month long hiatus or vacations, that are pretty nice. So
if you work hard, you play hard in the time off. Yeah.
Right. So I was traveling a lot between Vegas and Los Angeles. So
yeah, man, that's a trip. That is a trip. So, the California Dreams has always been known as kind of like the stepchild of Saved by the Bell. It never quite got the same recognition as what Saved by the Bell
still doesn't. Right.
Why is that? Why do you think that is? Because in my opinion, it's a better show.
Thank you. I agree. And I'm not saying that to take away anything from the Saved by the Bell guys. They did a great job. It's a great show, and it stands a test of time, and people love it. But I think we were a totally different show, and I think we offered something totally different. I've had people say, oh, well, the network just didn't put enough marketing and money into it. And didn't really put in the effort to do the same things. Like we never had, a on set or location shoot. We never, where we went off and did something for 3 or 4 episodes at some resort. We never did. There was never a wedding, never a going to college, never a, so when we ended, we ended. That was the choice that whoever made, and it is what it is. And I wasn't in charge. So
yeah, it's funny with the Cali episode, you can always look at it and go, you're going to end up at Sharky's, you're going to be up in Matt Garrison's garage, or you're going to be in the high school, you're going to be in Lorena's loft. That was it. That was the 4 steps that you had, right?
Right. That was it.
But to do that, that takes quite a skill for you and the ensemble cast, you and Kelly Packard and Jenny Kwan and Brent Gore, Michael Cade, everybody else, to keep that show fresh and add extra dimensions into it, being restricted into those 4 sets.
You're right. It does. But there is a reason why we were able to pull it off. And that is because the people I worked with, by and large, were extremely talented and very funny and very engaging. And people liked us. So whether I was talented or not is whatever. But, the other people were pretty damn good at what they did. William James Jones, man, if you weren't laughing when he was doing his thing, something's wrong with you.
Well, yeah. And same with Michael Cade when he was doing the boom.
Right. We were able to keep people engaged, and I think that speaks to what we were doing. At the same time, if we could have gone off and done all kinds of other things and added to the body of the show even more, that would have been great, but it wasn't to be. So
it's a shame for me because of the fact that when you look at the fact that Peacock's now available in the States, obviously Netflix, Prime, all that type of thing, it's never come back onto a streaming service again. It just seems to be sat in the archives and just kind of collecting dust, which when you think about, Saved by the Bell, getting the reboot, getting College Years, getting the new class, it just seemed to kind of go on and on and on and on. Then USA High was done after you,
right.
Which again, never materialized. It's such a shame that those 5 years of work and the amount of effort that was put in by you and the cast and the writers and the songwriters as well, because some of those songs were really damn good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's just to shout it out. That was Steve Tyrell and his group that put those together. Did an excellent job. The guy that did my voice usually, Barry Coughing, did an excellent job, as well as Zachary Thorne doing Aaron's voice. They were all extremely good and good. It was good stuff.
So this is something we've been asked on social media. Did you play your own guitar?
No, there was everything was pre-recorded. But there are a few points on the show where I am playing and singing. One of them most notably would be Leather and Loose.
Yep.
That is me playing, that is me singing.
Oh, wow.
And that is done and that is done live, and that was recorded live. So what you're seeing there is actually being done the moment that you're watching it. So that's me. I don't think that they found my inflection and the way I sang how they wanted to hear Jake.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you want to hear Jay, that was me as Jake doing Jay, I guess.
We'll put a link to the YouTube, because there'll be an episode on YouTube of Leather and Loose, and we'll put a link to it in the narrative so you can listen to Jay as Jake, or Jake as Jay.
Jay as Jake as Jay as Jake.
Yeah, it's one of those paradox things, isn't it? Jay
it really is.
It's who knows. Now, a few years ago, Jimmy Fallon organised the reunion for Cali Dreams and got all the cast back together again.
Yep.
What was that like for you, coming back to the US, meeting up with the cast? Must have been for the first time in quite a long time.
Yeah, I had been in Australia for a spell by that point. I was flown out, got to my hotel, walked up to my suite, threw my bags in, walked right down to, I said Vinny's in an interview recently, but it wasn't Vinny's, although I would have gone to Vinny's or Ray's, but I ended up going to Ray's Pizza in New York City. One of the Ray's, they're all over the place. Grabbed a large pepperoni pie, walked it right back to my hotel room, scarfed that whole thing down in probably about 15 minutes. And this pie was like just massive.
Nice.
Because pizza in Australia is just not the same as pizza from back home. So, so did that. So got my pizza fix on. And then pretty much, I think I went out and had a few drinks, and then met some friends, then fell asleep, then woke up, and then I might've been there a few days before, because I had come from Australia.
Yeah.
And I never actually caught up on sleep. So when we're actually filming the actual event with Jimmy Fallon, I am on my last legs, or on my last legs before I finally become normal. And I'm about to pass out from jet lag.
Oh,
yeah. So me on that show, I was almost completely out of it. But that being said, it was great seeing everybody. It was great seeing Dennis Haskins as well. Hey, Dennis. And good seeing Jimmy. And that was a great episode of the Jimmy Fallon show as well. So, and then, just standing near the Roots was cool, doing our thing. So yeah, that was all great fun. And glad to see everybody there as well.
What's it like when you see do you keep in touch with any of the cast?
I speak with people briefly here and there. So yeah, I mean, we keep in touch. But yeah, I mean, I'm in Australia, so my time zone is a lot different than everybody else's. And I mean, for you right now, it's like 6:15 in the morning.
It is. Yeah.
And for me, it's 3:17 p.m. in the afternoon. So
but that's the wonders of modern technology, isn't it? You know, that you can do a video call at any part of the world at any time, and you know, to have a chat with you and bring you to the Retro Chat audience. 6:15 is nothing. I can live with 6:15.
I'm glad to hear it. Yep.
There we go.
It is amazing what we're allowed to do now. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, as well as doing Cali Dreams, you also worked on Deus Ex, the video game.
I did. Yep.
What was I call it Deus Ex. It might be Deus Ex, but I call it Deus Ex.
I think the Latin is Deus Ex. So like Deus Ex Machina, like God of the Day.
Yeah.
Or no, God in the Machine or something. I'm sorry, that's what it is. So yeah, Deus Ex. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
How different is it becoming a voice actor compared to being an actor? You know, being on screen, doing the physical movements compared to doing the voice reflection.
I wouldn't say there's much of a difference. I mean, obviously there is. I mean, I don't have to worry about anything physical, but you'd be surprised how many times you're doing or saying a line in a voice acting capacity where you actually start being physical while you're doing it. So that just kind of naturally happens. I think as far as video games go, this game was special in the sense that I think there was about 14,000 lines of dialogue.
Wow.
And I think about 11,000 lines of those, I don't remember the exact numbers for me, but I think 11,000 of those were mine and the characters I was playing. And I played a few characters. Jeez. So it was quite a few months in the sound studio getting that done.
Cool, blimey. I bet you get accustomed to just kind of walking in and sitting in a room, don't you? And going back. You must get accustomed just to walking in, sitting down, getting the script, and that's it. There's, you know. Yeah,
there was a lot of at the time there was a lot of smoke breaks. Because what would happen was I actually worked for the company in a development capacity as well.
Right.
So we would work during the day, and then it'd be like, all right, now we gotta do sound. So after work was done, then it would be go in there and go into the sound studio and do voiceovers until 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, jeez.
You know, and then sleep, and then sometimes sleep there. Get up, do the work we need to do, then get back in the studio the next day and do more voice record, more VOs. So that, a lot of smoke breaks, a lot of bar breaks. You know, let's head down to the pub right down the street and put a few down real quick, and then head back and get as many lines as we can in the can. And it was pretty crazy.
That seems like a hardcore way of working, but must have been fun at the same point.
We did have a good time, yes.
I can imagine. Yeah. Now, one of the things that's come out recently in the media is the fact that California Dreams and the cast have now signed with a Comic-Con provider, which means that you're going to be attending Comic-Cons both internationally and domestically in the US.
Yes.
Once you come out of lockdown. How are you feeling about that? How is it going to be? Are you looking forward to coming out and meeting the fans and being back with the cast again?
Yeah, one, it'll always be good to be back with the cast. Two, look, I don't know about the rest of us. I'm pretty sure they feel the same way, but I'm proud of what we did. You know, I'm proud of the show. There's nobody on this planet that I can show California Dreams to and be ashamed of. You know, it's I can show it to anyone and you know, any kid, any adult, and just say, here's what we did, and somebody's going to find something good about it. So I'm proud of it, and if we can get more people watching it, that's great. I have people now who still watch it, and they've got their children watching it now, and their children are fans, and I think that's fantastic. So as far as the Comic-Cons go, if the end product of me doing that is me having some fun, getting some autographs out there, making a little extra cash, and also getting the show and maybe getting Peacock to put us on streaming again.
Please do.
Then that would be fantastic. And I think that's actually one of my main goals with signing this, was also to get more recognition for the show to get Peacock to say, oh yeah, we need to do this. But unfortunately, I think there's a syndication company that's kind of defunct, or I don't know what situation they're in, that owns it, and they're just kind of sitting on it. So I have no idea. So I don't know. So it might be possible that nobody can touch it. I don't know.
Well, let's find out. Let's get a petition out there to get it done, to get it back.
Yeah.
We need Cali Dreams on streaming back for them on years. Now, I've got a 3-year-old, my 3-year-old, and I was in my office the other day and preparing to speak to you. So I had an episode on in the background. I had an episode on YouTube, and my 3-year-old walked into my office and she went, "Daddy, look!" And there's an episode with you on screen, and she walked in. And you're playing Jake, and she went, look, and she's laughing at I think you and an interaction with you and Kelly Packard, and then the music started, and then you started performing, and she was hooked. She was just sat there mesmerized, watching you and Kelly and the rest of the guys perform. And to me, that was just like, this is a show that aired in 1992, and my daughter was born in 2018, and she's hooked. She's hooked.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad to hear it.
That to me is testifying how good that show is. That it's appealing to generations of all ages.
And I look forward to her getting a little older and understanding it more and appreciating it. Yep, that's awesome. And please tell her I said, when she understands, please tell her I said hello, or get a hold of me, and I'll send you some signed prints or whatever.
Oh, amazing! That's something I did want to touch on, because you're all over Instagram. I mean, you are. Yep. If we had to say there was a California Dreams advocate, it would be you. Yes, I mean, you're all over it more than the rest of the cast. Merchandise, signed prints, hoodies, DVDs. I saw the other week on your Insta. Are you surprised at how much interest you're getting in the merchandise still from this day?
Well, the thing, I mean, honestly, like, the merchandising stuff is it's work, and the reason my wife is actually handling that more than I am. And the reason being is, yes, we wanted to bring more attention to the show because we do want to get it streaming again, not again, but streaming on Peacock. But people were asking us, do you have hoodies? Do you have t-shirts? Do you have anything? Do you have anything? And we were like, no, we don't. I'm sorry. I have some prints. I can sign some stuff for you. So we're actually not really making money on this. It's just literally just us going, yeah, sure, we'll put together some stuff and send you some stuff. So, we charge everything's pretty cheap for the most part. Unfortunately, we have to get stuff made here in Australia, which is expensive. Have to get it shipped to us here in Australia, which is expensive. Then we have to ship it to wherever you are around the world, which is pretty expensive. So relatively it's cheap, but if we charge what other people charge for their merchandise and what it costs to get all the other costs are, it'd be really expensive. But like I said, we're not doing this to make money for the most part. So it's just, relatively cheap stuff. And we're just doing it because we're just trying to generate more interest and get people watching the show again.
And what I love about it, the fact is, you are so much for the fans, because if someone buys the merchandise, it's send us an image and we'll put it on the Insta. Send us this, tag us into it. And a case in point, a close friend of mine who is also going to be, she doesn't know this yet, an upcoming co-host on the Cali Dream special we're going to be doing, is a lady by the name of Ingrid Igo, and she purchased some of your prints and was jumping up and down with joy when she went, Jay's retweet, Jay's commented on my post, blah, 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 Jay. And I was like, all right, okay, fine.
I do remember signing for an Ingrid.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
She's memorable. But you see, that to me is just an extra thing that you do, because that is, not only are you letting the message of the show still go out there, but you're interacting with the fans, which is key, because the fans are what make or break. Many other things.
I've said it many times. Like, honestly, when we were filming the show, it was great, and it meant something in the sense that, I'm having fun, I'm making money, and we're making people happy. We can see that, when we run into fans. This is a long time ago. Back then, running into fans out on the street, you're making someone's day. Now it's different. I see people people are tired and they've lived lives for many years, And our show and them watching it for the last few years after remembering it existed, after watching it many years ago, and then seeing that it brought them joy, and then letting me know, hey, by the way, I was suffering from this debilitating disease, and I just sat here and watched every episode of California Dreams, and it just brought me so much joy, and I just feel so much better. Like, okay, that's now what it's about.
Yeah.
That's now what it's about. It's forget all the other stuff now. Now it's literally like, okay, we've done something where people are happy. And I like that. And we need more of that. So
especially when you can talk about, you mentioned it at the top of the interview, the last 18 months being in lockdown, the COVID pandemic. We need something now more than ever.
Right. And as you said, our fan, like without the fans, like what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if there were no fans, we would make a show and nobody would watch it. Nobody would care. And when I think about it now, our whole drive to do what we did was because the fans loved what we did. But I don't think I realized that back then. I don't think any of us really realized that back then. But now I think we do, or at least I do. So
fantastic.
I'm personally, I'm grateful for every one of them, every one of you who's seeing this. If you're a fan, thank you. If you're not, thank you. Whatever. Yeah.
If you've watched 5 minutes of the show, thank you.
if you've watched 5 minutes of the show, thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Jay, we went out to social media and we asked for some questions. Are you up for some listener questions?
Sure. We can edit anything out.
You can edit anything. They're okay.
Yeah, sure.
I've selected some good ones. Don't worry.
Awesome. Okay.
All right, here we go. Heather Mannypenny, if a reboot happened, would you play a part on it? And which cast members would you want to return with you?
Yes, of course I would play I'd be on a reboot. I honestly don't see one happening.
No.
But of course I would. And then of course I wouldn't want anybody on it but the people that are supposed to be on it, which is all of us that are around and that were on it, and then whoever else they were going to bring that's new. And of course we'd welcome anybody new just as much as we welcomed anybody new back in the day.
Do you think a reboot would work? Because part of the appeal of the show was the story of the teenagers going through high school with the band and the escapades and all that type of thing. And to kind of reboot it, you would either go through two different ways. One would be the original cast now is parents and their kids, which seems a bit stereotypical. You know, that's the obvious way to go. Or B, a whole new cast, which is what they did with Saved by the Bell again on Peacock.
Right. Everybody decided to ditch their paths and come back together and be in a band anyway 30 years later.
Yeah, have some sort of midlife crisis and all get back together again and shout.
Right. Which sounds kind of ridiculous as well.
It really does. I mean, should a reboot happen, or should the legacy of the Cali Dreams remain as it is?
You know what? I'm happy to let sleeping dogs lie and let the legacy be what it is. If a reboot comes up and it looks good and fun, then sure, I'll look at it and I'd be honored and honored that I was even asked. To participate. But like I said, either way. They left it in a way, and they tied it up very nicely at the end, and at the same time left it in a way where a reboot would be odd, and I don't know how it would work.
Well, yeah, because you have all completely gone totally, and even in your personal lives, you've all gone completely different. I mean, is it William James Jones is now a doctor, if I'm right?
He's a doctor of clinical psychology.
So, that would be an intriguing spin on Tony Wicks, I must admit, if they brought him back.
It would. It would. And he's doing very well. Very proud of William.
Kelly Packard is a surfer. Tiffany Smith suddenly coming back as a mid-40s surfer with a surfboard. That would be an intriguing concept.
Right.
It just wouldn't work, would it? The reboot would in carrying on the legacy just wouldn't work.
Our writers are extremely talented guys and girls, and I'm sure they could come up with something to make it work. So,
Well, let's hope they do. Let's hope
Yep.
they do.
Yep.
Okay, Kurt Martin asks, what's your favorite California Dreams song? Here's his Tough Love.
Okay, fair enough. Good choice. My favorite is actually from the first season, which I'm not on, and I had nothing to do with. And that would be Love Is Not Like This.
It's cracking track.
Which Brentley did. So
can you tell us a bit more about what if you can? I mean, don't want to put you on the spot. What happened between Brentley and his exit? What was the reason for Brentley exiting the show? Because he was a
as far as I know, I think
look,
Brentley is a musician at heart. He's a very, very, very talented musician. Very talented dude, very nice guy. And I, as far as I can tell, he just really wanted to do music. Right. And honestly, if you look at what we were doing, yeah, it's a great show and it's a fun show and all that. But we were doing pretty poppy stuff, and it was becoming more. I think the show was becoming more group focused as opposed to band focused.
Yeah.
So it was focused more on the group of kids as opposed to the kids in the band.
Yeah.
And I think Brentley wanted to do his thing, and he went and did his thing, and he's had some success.
He's done it pretty well, yeah. I must admit, yeah. You can tell as the series moves on through the years, it changes from what it was in season 1 to what it ended up being in season 5, and you can see that transition quite prevalently. Especially after Brentley leaves in season 3, you can kind of see that, and the arrival of Jenny Kwan into the show to replace Heidi Noel Lynn Hart.
Yep,
I know the cast. You see, I know the cast. I can get the names of the cast out. Just can't say yours properly. Now, one of the things that is resonated with me quite a lot is some of the messages or some of the little things that you take away. And this is the same with Ollie Peters, who said, you could also tell, Jay, that I learned lefty, loosey, righty, tighty from the show.
I hear that probably more than any other thing from the show. I probably hear that I learned righty, tighty, lefty, loosey from California Dreams. I hear that all the time. You are not, what was that? Ollie, you are not alone. Ollie. Yep, you are not alone in that. There's a lot of people who learn that as well. So I'm, if it helps you in life, I'm glad.
Well, just a little bit for you. Ollie is a listener of ours who's been with my shows for about 10 years now.
Yep.
And
Hello,
he's
Ollie.
also the lead guitarist for a band here in the UK called Six Claw Paw.
Okay.
And in conversation with Ollie, when I told him you were coming on, because Ollie messaged me and just went, do you remember this show, the California Dreams, out of nowhere? And I'm like, yeah, remember it. And you were inspiration for him to learn the guitar.
That's awesome.
Just wanted to share that out.
I'm glad. That's fantastic.
Just wanted to share that
Shout out to Ollie.
And the last question is from Ingrid. Okay. If you hadn't played Jake, what other character in the Dreams would you have wanted to have portrayed?
Oh, Ingrid, that's a tough one. And hi, Ingrid. Yeah, that's a really difficult one to answer because I kind of feel that this show was cast fairly perfectly. I really cannot imagine anyone else playing Antoine Wicks. I really cannot imagine anyone else playing Sylvester Winkle. I really cannot imagine anyone else playing Tiffany Smith. And I certainly can't imagine anybody else playing Jake. So maybe I would want to be Seashell the Surfer.
Oh, that'd been cool.
Yeah, one of the surfer guys who's like, "Hey, Tiff," one of those parts. If I was never on the show and I just had a small speaking role, that'd probably be one of the ones I'd want to do.
Fantastic, brilliant. Well, they're the questions from the listeners. Thank you for those.
Thank you for the questions.
For you though, what's next? I mean, are you still acting? Are you still performing, or have you given up the acting life at the moment?
I didn't. I think giving up is an odd way to put. I never gave. I just kind of stopped. I just got to the point where I was like, I just need to like even my life out a little bit, because it's a pretty hardcore ride when you're on a TV show and you're 21, 22, 23 or whatever. It's a pretty crazy ride. And I think I just needed to even myself out a bit. So I just kind of stopped. And then I've done a few small things here and there, just, for friends or whatever. But yeah, now I just kind of went professional, as far as just corporate work. I work for a company that we design and manufacture audiovisual equipment for film and television production.
Fantastic.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I didn't even notice that. I should probably move that for the next one. Anyway, so design, anyway, I work in the quality assurance department, and we make this equipment. So I've been doing stuff like that for quite a long time now. If some other opportunities came up, sure, I'd look into it. But I've been doing something else for a long time.
Yeah.
So
there you go. There you go. And of course, you're in Australia. Any plans to return back to the US, or is Australia home now?
Australia, for the most part, is home at the moment, and it seems that it's going to be. The medical system here is top notch, and a far cry from the travesty that is the medical system in my home country of the United States. I love my home country. The medical system there is jacked up. And I know people who've suffered from it directly. Since I've been here, I'm amazed at how seamless and wonderful the system here is. Anybody listening to this and has heard certain news outlets and people saying that the horror stories of medicine in other countries, it's bullshit.
It really
it's
is
fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, so that alone is a good reason to stay. They have pretty good booze here as well. It's pretty laid back for the most part. We have better here in Australia. There are much better labor laws as well. It is much more difficult to take advantage of a worker in Australia than it is in the States.
Let's face it, in the US, you don't really have any labor laws.
Right. Comparatively, you don't. That being said, I mean, I love my home country. I love the United States. There's just a lot of stuff that could be better for the people, and that's what I want for the people. But unfortunately, we've got a whole cabal of.
It does surprise me that. I mean, you and I have talked quite a lot over the weeks leading up to this in terms of what we do. So I work within HR, and it's my main job. And it always surprises me how, for a country as developed as the US, as world leading as the US is, how they are so behind in certain areas, such as healthcare, such as employment rights for workers, just such as basic things that other countries such as Oz, even us here in the UK, Sweden, some of Europe, have actually got down to and working to a fine degree. It surprises me, and in this day and age, it's something that really needs to be looked at by Biden and his administration.
I agree. I hear people say that workers' rights and wanting rights for workers is such a left-wing idea. I'm like, how is that? It's not a left-wing idea. That's just what the rest of the world does. So I don't know where what wing it's on has to do with any of it. It's literally just let's take care of people first.
It's basic right,
anyway,
isn't it?
What's that?
It's a basic right. It's a basic right. It's not a wing. It doesn't matter if you're left wing or right wing or middle wing. Right. It's a basic right.
Right. But it's funny though. The second I start saying, workers' rights are this, somebody comes, oh, you lefties. I'm like, well, it's okay. I'm just talking about, I want the same rights for you who's mad at me. You're not you, but somebody's mad at me for being whatever they perceive me to be. But I want you to have those same rights and clean water too, and whatever. but they don't want. I don't know. I don't get it. But anyway, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to turn this into a total political discussion. But
I do a different podcast. That's the HR show. We'll talk about that on another time.
I'd love to do that.
We'll do a show just on that, not on the California Dreams.
Sweet.
Before we start wrapping up, Jane, I really appreciate your time this morning or this afternoon. Any last words for those fans or those who are watching the California Dreams over the years, or those who have just found it?
For the fans that have been there, one, I'm so glad I was there. Two, thank you. Just thank you. Literally, my life has been better because you exist. My life got better because you guys loved us so much and you gave so much of yourselves to us. And I appreciate that. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of the rest of the cast when I say that. New fans, welcome. I love you too. I hope you enjoy the show as you go through it, and can see how much fun we had making it. And then, yeah, maybe I'll see you at some Comic-Cons. Oh, that was something we touched on earlier. Yes, we are looking at doing some Comic-Cons to bring more awareness of the show. However, with COVID, my travel is going to be restricted for a bit, so I don't know when I'll be able to do that. But hopefully I'll be coming to a city near you to say hello when restrictions are lifted and all that. So,
well, Jay, tell us when you're in the UK. Let us know.
We'll do. I know one of our biggest fan bases is the UK, so I can't wait.
Absolutely. Tell us when you're in the UK. We will promote it, and if you're up for it, we'll meet for a beer and have a live chat.
If you're pouring the Guinness, I'm there.
I will pour as much Guinness as you want. It's not a problem.
that's dangerous.
Now, if you want to get in contact with Jay on Facebook and social media, you can do. Check him out on Instagram. It's Jay Anthony Franke. The link is underneath his name, right to the right. There we go, Jay. I can't do it. And we'll also put a link in the comments on both the YouTube and on the audio version. But all that's left for me to say now is I love the fact that you managed to get one of the lines from the track into that last comment you did there. Very clever. I did pick that up. Jake, thank you for joining us this morning here on the Retro Chat. Really appreciate it.
And it was my pleasure. Thank you so much. And I'm honored. Thank you.
My pleasure. Stay with me for just a second. That's it for us here at the Retro Chat podcast. We'll be back with more each and every week right here on YouTube and on audio platforms. But for me and for Jay, we were so glad you were here as well. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.